The NHL Central Scouting mid-season draft rankings came out a few days ago, and when it comes to the way they have things laid out, everybody is not too surprised with the guy they have at number 1. First overall on the mid-season rankings is Shane Wright, a guy who has been projected to be going first overall pretty much for the past year and a bit. Ever since last year's U18s, we saw Shane Wright go out there, tear things down, and his name has been in first overall conversation for a long time now. However, the guy who is ranked second on the North American list is a name that a lot of people in the scouting community have started to take by storm. It's a name that many people are going out there and saying, if there's going to be one guy to really break that first overall mold and challenge Shane Wright, it's not going to be Matthew Savoie. It's not going to be Brad Lambert. It's not going to be any of the other guys that we're taking a look at in other Why I Want videos. It's going to be this guy. In today's episode of Why I Want, we're going over the best player of the USNTDP. Let's talk today about Logan Cooley. Logan Cooley was ranked second overall by the NHL Central Scouting mid-season ranking services, and he's placed above Savoie and Geekie and all the other players that are over here. By the way, you can see number 7 on the mid-season rankings list. Yeah, there's another Jack Hughes, and it's going to be pretty cool when we make a Why I Want video about that guy. But Logan Cooley is a guy that a lot of people in the scouting community and amongst the fan base of prospects and drafts in general are taking a look at and saying, yeah, this guy has been on an absolute heater, and if he's going to go out there and continue this pace, he might just go out there and pass Shane Wright. Why is that? Let's go over the profile, talk about who Logan Cooley is, what makes him so special, and why people are comparing this guy as a potential first overall candidate. Logan Cooley is 17 years old, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is the birthplace, 5'10", 174-pound center, a left-handed shot. This guy, when he was 4 years old, suited up in Sidney Crosby's Little Penguins Learn to Play program in the program's very first year of running. He said this about that experience, which was a long time ago: hockey's a really expensive sport, and I think being able to get free equipment and have Sidney Crosby out there on the ice, obviously you're really young, but any chance to learn from him, he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best. So, a long time ago, 13 years ago, Logan Cooley was out there on the ice with Sidney Crosby, learning how to play hockey and just learning the basics of the game. Today, if I had to sum up how Logan Cooley plays the game in a very simple sentence, it's like he learned how to play hockey in the wild, wild west. This season for the USNTDP, Logan Cooley has gone out there with 34 points in 24 games played, 14 goals, and 20 assists, which is a pretty okay amount of points. Like, I get it, it's not Jack Hughes level, it's not Cole Caulfield level, it's not Austin Matthews or Patrick Kane level, but it is good enough. Statistically, his numbers compared to guys in the past like Kiefer Bellows, it's better than Matt Boldy, it's better than Joel Farabee, Jack Roslovic, Bobby Brink. You have other guys down here like Josh Norris and Colin White, whom Cooley is outproducing, but it's not just the numbers that go out there and support this argument that says that Cooley could go first overall. The way Cooley plays the game is one of the most exciting and crazy ways out of anybody in this NHL draft class. He's a really speedy and quick two-way center, and he impacts the game at a high level in all aspects. In the offensive zone, he's not afraid to toy with his opponents. Here's a shift that I wanted to show off. This was one of the bigger ones that was going around on Twitter. This is against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, so an NCAA team. He's only 17 years old, 5'10", and he's going out there after a face-off on a 4-on-4 shift, where he comes in with the puck, swoops down behind the net and tries a Michigan, and it doesn't work. So, he takes the puck back, and he dangles around the defense a little bit more, just toying with the opposite team. He does a through-the-leg spinorama to avoid the check of a guy, and he uses his pivoting to maneuver to the side of the play, opening up a passing lane which he uses to send the puck over to a teammate. If there's anybody in this draft class that is going to make you go ooh and ah more than anybody else, it's Logan Cooley. He's got the dangles to be able to embarrass opponents with ease. His footwork allows him to dance around players. He is a very charismatic skater who can stop and go on a dime, and he's got chiseled and strong edge work. And when you combine that package of skating and puck skills together, it makes for a very great package in the offensive zone. He's good at playmaking, and he's got a great heavy shot as well that he's not afraid to use, which is why he's got so many points. And when he doesn't have the puck, he's willing to go into board battles, fight for pucks in the dirty areas and in front of the net. And it's kind of funny because I'm talking all this great stuff about his offense and his skills and his flash, but this guy's primarily known as a two-way center. He's got really good defensive and neutral zone instincts, top-tier awareness, he just kind of knows what's happening around him at all times, and it's this package of skill and two-way responsibility and overall flair that has made him ranked second overall by a lot of people that I'm seeing out there, TSN and Craig Button included. Now, it's not unanimous. If you go over to the Elite Prospects rankings over here, he's a 5th overall consolidated ranking. EP themselves have him at number 9, Future Considerations has him at number 12, Bob McKenzie has him at 6, McKean's at 8, Craig Button has him at 2, NHL Central Scouting has him at number 2 for North American skaters, 9th by Sportsnet, 3rd by Recruit Scouting, 5th by Dauber, 11th by Draft Prospects Hockey, 5th by Smot Scouting, and 5th by the Puck Authority. And that is, of course, just one sample of the primary scouting outlets for bigger media presences. However, there are indeed, as I said, many people on social media who are a lot more higher on Cooley than others, and even projecting him as being a potential first overall guy. They had a conversation about this on NHL Draft Class. This is the podcast that the NHL actually does themselves for the prospects and the draft and the scouting reports and all that, so yeah, you can go ahead and listen to that if you want. They had a conversation on the recent episode talking about how Logan Cooley of the USNTDP might be narrowing the gap between him and Shane Wright of Kingston as the first overall pick. NHL Central Scouting Director Dan Marr had himself the entire spiel that was posted on the Twitter. Of course, it's also on the episode. And so, because of the hype around Cooley and his name, we're making the video here today. He also is committing to the University of Notre Dame. He's going to be going over there for 2022-2023, which is actually next season. And it's kind of strange to me how 2022-2023 is next season. It's crazy to me how it's 2022 in general because, yeah, I think we're all kind of getting old, aren't we? But for Logan Cooley right now, as a top-ranked prospect in the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, he's going to be going out there and having a little bit more of a showcase to prove himself. As the World Juniors got cancelled, he was one of the youngest players to actually be included on the World Junior team for Team USA this season. We'll see what he does at the U18s later on, but when he goes to that U18 tournament, I'm going to be super excited to see what kind of tricks he's going to pull out of his hat. Now, when it comes to negatives, because obviously, you know, there is indeed a profile that we have to talk about when it comes to Cooley and ceilings and projection and all that, probably the biggest thing or two that I can say is holding Cooley back is consistency. Just making sure that the untamed spirit of his is able to persist itself throughout an entire season, let alone an entire month or week. There are some stretches of Logan Cooley's game and his season so far where you could go out there and say, okay, he's not really playing to the best of his capacity. He does get somewhat cold once in a while, and I'm not going to say neutralized. Neutralized implies that the opposition is doing something to shut him down. There are games that he plays where he's actually going out there and having good looks and not really being shut down, he's just not performing. And so that consistency is really going to need to step itself up. Also, ceiling-wise, it plays into that consistency. Because the difference between an NHLer who can go out there and make some pretty good plays in the offensive zone once in a while and a top-tier, premier, first-line center is going to be how often and how consistently they're going to be able to do their thing. For the NTDP this season, Logan Cooley is pretty much the best player, and so taking a look at this trend of top-tier NTDP players following the steps of Jack Hughes in 2019, to Jake Sanderson in 2020, to Matty Beniers in 2021, it appears that Logan Cooley has a very good shot at being the next in line. It's just we have to wait and see whether or not that's going to be first overall, second overall, fifth overall, or whatever. But the conversation has indeed begun as to whether or not Cooley could be that first overall caliber guy. Talk to me in the comments, your thoughts about Logan Cooley and the prospect that he is. Where do you see this guy going in the draft? Do you think your favorite team should draft him? And what do you like or dislike about his game? Does he project as a top-tier player, or are you on the more conservative side and say he probably should go a little bit later, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th, like some of the other scouting outlets have? Talk to me in the comments, let your thoughts and opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.